He sent photos of random cars that I didn't recognize and mentioned people that I had never met. During the time that he was texting me, I was in my PE class at school, so there was no way that anything he said could have been true. An example of a delusion would be when Professor Donald Rugen at Cal Poly explained in one of his lectures about how one of his students believed that he was a superhero, causing him to act recklessly because of the belief that he was invincible. To clarify, many people have the misconception that the manic period is a happy state, but this is not necessarily true. For my brother, the manic period often meant that he was easily angered. On the other hand, the symptoms for the depressive period of bipolar disorder are very similar to the symptoms for depression. A person in the depressive period would feel sad and hopeless, have very little energy, sleep too little or too much, feel like nothing is enjoyable, or engage in little activity. In the worst case, the person may think about death or suicide. The National Institute of Mental Health published an article in April of 2016 about bipolar disorder that states that sometimes a mood episode includes symptoms of both manic and depressive symptoms. This is called an episode with mixed features. People experiencing an episode with mixed features may feel sad, empty, or hopeless, while at the same time feeling very energized. Because the manic-depressive changes are different for each person, it is difficult to identify one specific cause for bipolar disorder. However, it's true that people with bipolar disorder have chemical imbalances in their brains that make them more vulnerable to changes in their mood. It has also been noticed that people with parents who have bipolar disorder are more likely to have the illness themselves. So what are the treatments for bipolar disorder? Usually mood stabilizers like lithium or valproate or antipsychotics like olanzapine or quetiapine are used as treatments for bipolar disorder. In October of 2017, William Bobo published in the Mayo Clinic Proceedings that most mood stabilizers and atypical antipsychotics are effective for preventing manic episodes. Lithium, lamotrigine, quetiapine, and olanzapine are also effective in the prevention of depressive episodes, although lithium is generally more effective at preventing manic episodes than depressive episodes, and lamotrigine is more effective at preventing depressive episodes than manic episodes. Sometimes different mixes of these drugs are used to see what works for each person. Even though bipolar disorder is a mental illness that is partially caused by biological changes that can be explained through science, there are very few people who are sympathetic towards my brother. My brother was admitted into a mental hospital in October of 2014. A month later, when Thanksgiving came around, the mental hospital ignored its responsibilities and sent my brother back home, even though he was mentally unstable. Once he came home, he began fighting with my dad, having the delusion that he was an enemy. Eventually, when this situation escalated, I had to call the police on my brother, but even they didn't seem to understand the urgency of the situation. Then, after my brother became mentally stable and returned to school, students whispered rumors that he was involved with illegal drugs. Even close friends would make jokes about bipolar disorder, despite knowing that my brother was struggling with the illness. Sarah Bonner, an assistant professor of psychiatry at the University of Miami Miller School of Medicine, states in her article on CNN that The United States has the highest lifetime rate of bipolar disorder at 4.4%. Cultural awareness plays a very big role in psychiatry. Some cultures have a huge reluctance to speak about psychiatric things. Like how I mentioned, there is still a lot of stigma surrounding mental illnesses. The CDC states that only 25% of adults with mental illnesses believe that others are caring and sympathetic to persons with mental illness. This lack of empathy and understanding is especially prevalent among college environments, where students carelessly throw around words such as OCD to describe cleanliness, or bipolar to describe changes in mood.
It is possible that the more people are educated on the reality of mental illness, the more people will understand that they are just as prevalent and serious as physical illnesses. Mental illnesses such as depression, anxiety, and bipolar disorder are commonly experienced and each have their own concrete symptoms and treatments that have been studied by professionals for decades.
Mental illnesses are real and widespread, and we believe that it is necessary for everyone to have a basic understanding of them. Our hope is that after today, we can all share the same sensitivity to mental illnesses as we do toward physical illnesses. This is an opportunity to buck the stigma and to be more aware of the mental hardships of the people around us.